All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important jobs on the entire internet, the front-end developer.
So, have you ever wondered who actually builds the part of the internet that you see and interact with every single day? You know, every button you click, every form you fill out, that entire visual world, someone has to build that.
Well, that someone is the front-end developer. Their entire job is to take a concept, a design, and turn it into the living, breathing part of an application that you actually get to use and experience. Okay, so what does being a front-end developer really mean? Let's break down what this role is all about.
To build all that cool stuff, every single front-end developer has a core toolkit. It really comes down to three fundamental technologies.
Here's a fantastic way to think about it. Imagine a website is a person. HTML, that's the skeleton. It gives the page its basic structure. Then you have CSS. That's the clothing, the hair, the style. It's all about how it looks. And finally, JavaScript, that's the engine, or maybe the brain and nervous system. It's what makes the whole thing interactive and dynamic. So, let's start with HTML. This is the absolute bedrock. It has nothing to do with how pretty something looks. It's all about pure, raw structure. You're just defining things like, this is a headline, this is a paragraph, and here's where an image goes. Then, CSS swoops in. It takes that plain HTML skeleton and actually makes it look good. CSS controls everything visual. The layout, the colors, the fonts, the spacing. It's what turns a boring black and white document into a beautiful, polished design. And rounding out the trio is JavaScript. This is the magic that brings it all to life. I mean, anytime you see a cool drop-down menu, a pop-up alert, or, and this is a big one, content that updates on the page without you having to hit refresh, yep, that's JavaScript in the background making it all happen.
Okay, so they've got this awesome toolkit. What do front-end developers actually build with it? Well, the answer might be a little broader than you'd guess.
You can really break their work down into three main buckets. You've got your classic websites, then more powerful web applications, and believe it or not, even the native apps that you install on your computer or phone.
First up, the most obvious one, websites. The best way to think of these is as a collection of interconnected pages, mostly designed just to show you information. A perfect example is Wikipedia, right? You're just clicking through pages of content. The main thing you're doing is reading and following links. You're not really doing complex tasks.
Now let's talk about web applications. These are a whole different beast. They're way more interactive, they feel less like you're reading a document, and more like you're using a piece of software on your desktop. A lot of the time, they're managing data and updating in real time. And the classic example here is something like Gmail. When you're in your inbox, you're not just reading, are you? No way. You are actively managing data. You're writing emails, you're organizing them, you're searching. It's a complete software tool that just happens to run in your web browser.
And this is where it gets really interesting. More and more front-end developers are taking those exact same web skills and using them to build native applications. We're talking about the actual apps you download and install on your computer or your phone.
Think about an app like Discord. It feels totally native, right? Like it was built just for your operating system. But under the hood, it's actually built with web technologies, mainly JavaScript. And the huge advantage here is that developers can write their code once and then ship it to all sorts of different platforms.
So clearly, this is a super powerful skill set to have. But what does the actual career look like? What's the journey, what are the rewards, and what are some of the big challenges front-end developers are dealing with right now?
Well, the good news is the career ladder is pretty clear. Most people start out as a junior engineer. Then they grow into a mid-level role. After a few years, you can move up to senior, maybe a lead engineer managing a team, and eventually get to these really specialized, high-impact roles like a principal engineer.
And of course, that progression comes with some serious perks. As you can see, as you gain more experience and take on more responsibility, the compensation grows right along with it. It can be a really financially rewarding career.
But it's not all smooth sailing. The entire field is kind of going through an identity crisis right now. There's this huge debate happening about whether front-end has just gotten too complicated. Has it moved too far away from what it was originally about? This quote really sums it up. Has front-end development lost its way?
People are calling this tension the Great Divide. And it's basically two camps. On one side, you have the more computer science-minded folks. They're all about heavy-duty JavaScript, APIs, and building super complex applications. But on the other side, you have the UI/UX-minded developers.
They're focused on the human side of things, user experience, accessibility, making things beautiful and easy to use. The real challenge today? Most jobs expect you to be an expert in both. And if that whole philosophical debate wasn't enough, there's the absolutely relentless pace of change. It feels like every week there's a new must-know tool or framework. People call it technology churn, and it means you have to be a lifelong learner just to stay relevant. For some, that's exciting. For others, it's a recipe for burnout.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What have we learned? Front-end developers are the ones who build the part of the internet we all see and use, with their core toolkit of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The career path is solid with great rewards, but you've got to be ready for constant change and a field that's kind of figuring out its own identity. It really is this fascinating sweet spot right at the intersection of hardcore computer science and human-centered design.
And that really leaves us with the big question for the future, doesn't it? As technology gets even more complex, which side of that great divide is going to become more important? Is the future front-end developer going to need to be a deep-dive computer scientist, or someone with an even deeper focus on the user experience? What do you think?